Joining us now to talk about our fire department, Toys for Tots, and of course, emergency preparation is your West Bloomfield Fire Chief, Greg Flynn. Good morning, Greg.
Dave, good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Splash Live this morning. I appreciate you doing that at the very last minute. And we have a great team here in West Bloomfield that has gotten us through and will continue to get us through challenges. It could be an ice storm. It could be COVID-19. Could be a wide variety of things. And you lead the team that takes care of these kind of things for emergency preparation. Greg, I assume this is something you're looking at all the time and always working on refining your game plan.
Dave, we refer to it often as community risk reduction, and that's really the transformation that's been taking place within fire departments across this country, and West Bloomfield's been out front with that. We want to be prepared. We want to practice. We want to have a plan for whatever may come our way. And I think you kind of had a front row seat with that when we look back to the very early days, because you were right there with us, getting information out to people, sifting through things as to what the facts are and what's actionable. And that's exactly what we're going to do, is follow that basic skeleton, if you will, on making sure our residents are prepared, that they have a plan, and that we keep them informed real time when some kind of impact is felt by the community.
Well, one of the things we have here, we've talked about, and we're going to continue to talk about and inform the community even more of, is that unlike other communities, we have these great communication tools. We have a radio station, an FM radio station, which it very unlikely would ever go down even in a bad emergency. We've got all kinds of backup plans. And then we have all of our other communication tools that will hopefully be there through most emergencies. Having that is really helpful, because as I look back at some of the really big regional emergencies that we've had over the past several years, one that comes to mind, our ice storm, well, two, our ice storm, and then the big power outage that we had several years ago. That affects such a wide area that it may be difficult to get from the general Detroit area media information that is specific to us here in West Bloomfield. And we have the capability with our communication tools and your emergency operations center to let the people in West Bloomfield know what things they need to know right here close to home.
It's that multi-prong approach that I think is helpful, and being to get that Nixle alert on your phone that cues you in to say, hey, there's something going on. Here's some pieces of it, but I'm gonna tune into the Splash, or I'm gonna go to Civic Center TV, or I'm gonna go to the West Bloomfield Township website, or I'm going to hit a social media platform that the police department's on or the fire department's on, and that's that engagement that we're looking for. And I really do think that we're hitting the mark on that, Dave, and that's an important part. And that communication is impacting all demographics within our community, because people choose where and how they're going to get that information, and that's what's great about having multiple platforms.
Well, and you mentioned Nixle and the ability to get emergency messages from the police and fire department and other officials via text message on your phone or your other devices is absolutely amazing. A lot of people are signing up for that. And Greg, I imagine, Chief Flynn, that's something that the community really enjoys, and you like too, because it's a good way to get information out to people quickly and directly.
But one of those things that's very frustrating, Dave, is when you drive that same route every single day, and you're on your way home to get to your son or daughter's sports practice, or you have an important appointment, and for whatever reason, traffic is backed up on Orchard Lake Road. It is convenient when there are serious incidents that are happening in the community. You get that alert that says, hey, Orchard Lake and Maple is closed because of a serious accident or something. Now you can reroute ahead of time, and it saves you time, and it puts the first responders and those are focused on those that need our care right then and there, and the traffic and stuff is diverted around us. And that's really the approach we try to take. That's our job in emergency management, is we'll take care of the incident itself, but we're also thinking about some of the challenges we're creating while we mitigate that situation to the rest of the community that really does have other important things to continue on with, and then we need to be respectful of that when and where we can.
Well, and you've got multiple tasks to take care of. Greg Flynn, West Bloomfield Fire Chief. You have certainly to address the emergency itself, make sure the first responders are there, that we're protecting the community and solving the problem. But there's also a communication element and a planning element to a lot of these things. And as it gets more complicated, as we have a more complicated event, and we certainly don't wish for one to happen, but we do need to be prepared. It may be because of the event itself. It may be that getting all of those things done all at the same time becomes a little bit more difficult. Communication systems could go down. It could be difficult for your people to get into the stations and prepare. It could be difficult to get your resources out to the community. And these are the kind of things that I know you're working on and preparing for. But there can be a complicated day ahead of us, and these are the things that you take a look at, and you have an emergency operation plan and a center that you could activate right there in Fire Station number 5, correct?
Correct. And I think the opportunity to have these discussions on your show, Dave, are very important as we start to normalize some of the conversations about the realities that we face every single day in our country. And folks like myself and Chief Patton plan for when those unfortunate events may arise within our community. So let's just take, for example, that we had some kind of incident at one of our schools, and we needed to get out where the reunification center was so that people can get to picking up their loved ones and so on and so forth. That real time connection we have through your radio station, through those social media platforms, that's not effective to have 1,000 people calling into our emergency operations, dispatch center to get that information. We want to be able to push that out and use our communication partners to help.
Well, no question about it, and those are the things that we're working on and
And really
trying to.
get the information out.
Yeah, those are the things we're working on and trying to make it better. Joining us this morning is Chief Greg Flynn of the West Bloomfield Fire Department, talking a little bit about emergency preparation and some of the things that can happen here in West Bloomfield. And you're right, it's a more complicated time. It's not just that big weather event or some other disaster like a power outage that impacts our entire community, maybe our whole region. There could be an active shooter event or something else like that needs a proper response. And is it difficult as you're responding to these things to make sure that you're also communicating that out to the people? How do you plan for all that and get those priorities all taken care of?
That happens in what we refer to as the flop, if you will. So the flop is when the emergency hits. There's multiple positions that start to get filled within the management of the situation, and I think that a big part of that is the comms or the communications part of that, and that's not just the communications amongst the responders. That's the communication with the community that's being impacted, and so. While it's sometimes difficult, everyone wants to go to the incident. We know that it's important to have people that are communicating what's going on. And Dave, honestly, that's where we get to really have a brief conversation with you. And because the responders, the team captains, if you will, you're able to help deliver that message, and your team's able to help deliver that message along with other media streams and stuff like that. And that's how we do that. We put some people specifically focused on making sure that accurate information. Remember, I think maybe you taught me this. It's not that people can't handle difficult information. They just don't want misinformation. So I think they can handle the truths or the realities that are happening. We just can't afford to give them misinformation.
Well, and I want to congratulate you and all the township officials and Chief Patton. You've never once told me a story that wasn't the truth. It may have been news that was difficult to deliver, but that's never been an issue here, and that's good. And we do want to get information out. And we've seen in other communities that don't handle this quite as well. When things are problematic, they tend to go quiet, and that just isn't really helpful. So just one more thing on this. It's a really nice opportunity on the communication side to remind people that, yes, we have text. Yes, we have Civic Center TV. Yes, we have our other media here in the area. But, there could be a really bad ice storm. There could be some other tragic weather event. There could be some kind of a power interruption that may interrupt our communication tools. So, just start going through the list as something goes on. And don't forget 89.3 Civic Center TV's radio station, Lakes FM, because that is the ultimate tool. The transmitter sits over at fire station number 1. We've got backup power. We're building some new backup infrastructure there so we can get on the air. It may, Greg, I hope we never have to use it, but it may end up being our communication tool of last resort if we really get into a jam.
That's what a good plan has, though, Dave. We are ready for what is the most unlikely situation, but still probable. So we know that there's a possibility that it can happen, and we're going to be prepared for it. And we don't do that to scare people. We share that with them to bring calm and to bring reassurance that your professionals within the community are not just meeting but exceeding expectations when it comes to having a plan.
All right, Greg, let's shift gears. By the way, thank you for having this conversation. And Greg and I didn't prepare for this. This is just two guys talking in front of our community and sharing the information as publicly as possible. So thank you for engaging in that. Greg, let's talk a little bit about Toys for Tots, annual program here in West Bloomfield, and we are always involved, and the fire department always plays a big role. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I sure can. And I can't start talking about it without giving kudos to firefighter paramedic Chris Mars, who has really been the catalyst with this program and partnering with Toys for Tots and United States Marine Corps and what they do. But there are collection points for new unwrapped toys at Fire Station number 5, Fire Station number 1, and Town Hall. And again, Fire Station number 5, the one on Maple between Middle Belt and Orchard Lake, in the lobby there to drop off. Fire Station 1 in front of the high school, and then Town Hall over at the Civic Center complex all have collection points for new unwrapped toys through December 16th, Dave. That's a key point. December 16th is the cutoff, and that's because, remember, they got to collect all those toys. They've got to get them distributed and everything in a timely fashion.
Well, it's a great brand that we're all familiar with, and I drove down Maple Road the other day by station number 5 and saw the sign out in front. Good reminder. Thank you very much for putting that out there in your team, and everyone I think is familiar with the program. It's a credible program. It's a program that we've been very excited to be a part of here in West Bloomfield. Good to see the fire department and the entire township and community doing its part to make sure that these drop-off points are accessible and available for you. Greg, I got 15 more seconds. Anything else you want to share with the people of West Bloomfield this morning?
Well, thanks for having me on, Dave. I agree with your number 1 video in your top 5. I'm a big fan of that one as well. And always a pleasure speaking with you, and very much value our relationship and with the relationship of your whole team. Thanks, Dave.